It's a dream to be at our best. We fight on our own with no room for rest. It's a dream to be at our best. We fight on our own with no room for rest. And it's a legacy that we want to leave. Make them all believe there will be no great leave. And all the world will follow us on our tracks, turning white from the black, just like raising the flag. We'll do it our way, the IMA way.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am a DCBS Student Presence Center of Excellence. I, Shreya Gangwar, student of Level 2 Delhi College Business School, we welcome our guest Dr. Raj Padhiyar and all the fellow students and faculty members of other colleges on behalf of Delhi College Business School for today's discussion on digital recharging your career in 2021 and beyond. I am honored to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Raj Padhiyar. Dr. Raj Padhiyar is the founder of Digital Gurukul, leading edtech company in Asia. He has delivered 4,000 plus sessions in digital marketing and trained 22,000 plus professionals. He has been featured in 75 plus news medias and 15 plus awards. Consulted he has also consulted various startups and businesses on their digital branding and marketing solutions. Alumnus of Nasi Munji College and Wellinkar Institute of Management, Mumbai, he is the only Indian to have doctorate in digital marketing USA from USA. His key interest in writing made him publish his two books, that is Social Media and Politics in India in 2019, and his first academic book, Fundamentals of Digital Marketing in 2020. Not only that, some of his accolades include Youngest Entrepreneur of the Year 2017 and 2018 consecutively, also selected as top 100 smartest digital marketer of the world by World's Marketing Congress in 2019, awarded Asia's Best Digital Marketer of 2018 by NIER New Delhi. He has also featured in Impact 100 Top Digital Leaders list of India for 2020 and Business Week 40 under 40, and the list is never ending. Now, I would like to request our Dr. Raj Padhiyar to take over the proceedings and enlighten us with his pearls of wisdom.
Shreya, for the warm welcome. Thank you so much, IMA. Thank you so much, the DC and all the students who took out the time from their extremely busy schedule and lots of online Zoom sessions. You all might be very bored, so I can understand what would be your expectation from the session. And the topic that we have specifically chosen for this particular session is considering the requirements of the students post COVID-19. Before beginning of the session, I request everyone if they can possibly turn on the video so that I can see you, and it would be an amazing interaction. I don't want to bore you with this 1 hour session, monotonous session, where the you turning off the video and your takeaway after 1 hour would be close to 0%. So I don't want to give that kind of experience to you. And possibly turn on the video like we all have done. It would be really great to see you. And this is how online sessions become very interactive because, to be honest, I'm taking online sessions since last many months. I think Shreya also knows we have taken the entire batch, so it becomes very difficult for the trainers. I think I let me tell you my experience. It is the most difficult part for the trainer to conduct the online sessions. It's a very difficult thing because you need to engage the entire audience for the 1 hour. It's a very difficult part, but anyways, uh, great to see you, Pooja, Dr. Vibha, Ritika, Pragati, Dr. Rinku ma'am, Khushi, Dr. Chabra, Dr. Atishji, Yamini, Ayushi, and every participant who has joined the session. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining the session and with DCBS, first with the IMS. So, I hope the 1 hour would be extremely productive. And I'll just tell you the entire structure of the session. कि हम ये session कैसे करेंगे. So I don't want to bore you with the PPTs or maybe the monotonous session. We'll basically play around with the digital upskilling or maybe the digital recharge that you possibly need for your career. Because since last 6 months, personally, most of the student, even after their highest possible degrees, there is still a question mark. Will I will able to survive in the competitive market after the COVID or maybe after 6 months or a 1 year? Most of the students pursuing their graduation or maybe other professional skill set program, COVID has basically put a question mark whether my skill set gonna dry upon or whether it would be competitive enough that I get a good amount of opportunity in the market. That is the most important part that is uh, available at most of the companies. Most of the student has the single most question. Like when you use the phone, if it has a 1% battery or a 2% battery, what is the first question that you have? Where is my charger? Yes or no? Now, can you just think about yourself ki whether your career battery has dried upon or it needs a digital recharge? When I said about digital recharge, whether your existing skill set is relevant into the market or what is the impact of the COVID into the market? Students out there, some might be having the family business, some might be having their or the own venture or they want to launch their startup or XYZ, any perspective that you might be having. But into the lockdown where you spent a good amount of time watching a series on Netflix or watching a series on Amazon, or you spend a good amount of time with family as well. And you might have realized this was the time where you took a pause of their entire busy journey and you thought actually, what am I learning right now? What I've learned into the last 10, 15 years, maybe into the school, maybe into right now, will it gonna help you into the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to sustain and grow into the market? Yes or no? Yes or no, Pooja or anyone? So this is something which is very important that I felt that when you talk about the digital recharging part, which is right now most essential from the student perspective. You might have seen across the world all the startups or maybe all the companies are turning completely into digital. Just today, I was reading one very interesting thread on Twitter. I don't know whether you are active on Twitter or not. So I was just reading about the thread where there was a very interesting analysis on what would be the COVID-19 impact on the workforces for the next 20 years. So out of that, the entire analysis was based on the interviews of 2000 founders across the world. The interesting analysis that came out was 90 to 95% of the founders are preferring the work from home scenario because that is helping them not only for the cost cutting, important thing, they are getting a global pool of resources versus the local pool of resources. Studying right now and you are applying for one job opportunity. So pre-COVID, it was just a local competition. But now with the COVID-19 or with this entire restructure of the startup, there is a global competition that you would be facing. Now, just for example, if you are a good cricket player and you want to play for an Indore cricket team, that is comparatively easy versus if you want to play for an Indian cricket team. Basically, gonna get very high. Everyone, am I audible? Everyone?
No, sir, your voice is leaking.
Yes, sir, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So with the competition going on, ठीक है, competition gonna increase day by day. ठीक है, competition gonna increase day by day. You can see n number of startups which are coming up in the market. They are launching some amazing ideas. They are getting the funding as well, and 90 to 95% of the ideas are based on the new age technologies, not the old age technologies. So when they are launching something for the new age technology, maybe some new digital tech platforms, okay, there are n number of startups. Just to give you a very basic example, you might have seen the IPL 2020 because it was lockdown. You might have seen the IPL 2020. If you have seen the sponsors for the IPL 2020, 90 to 95% of the sponsors were not even existed when IPL started, and all the sponsors are based on digital platforms. Now we might have basically took it in very easy sense. Okay, ठीक है यार, sponsor है, हमने match देख लिया. But what is more important is the syndrome called as I know syndrome. Whenever we look at something, some new skills, what the typical syndrome that we right now have is I know this. Social media marketing, I know this. Google advertisement, I know this. You might have seen one 10-minute video, or you might have seen a 2-minute video, but this is a typical syndrome that people have. I know this thing. They live in the illusion that you know this thing, but knowing is not just important. For example, just to give you, today I received one very important software update for my phone. Okay, 4 months back there was also update. 8 months back there was also update. 1 year back there was also update. But still, I prefer to update my phone, and that the same case would be same with you as well. Yes or no? Whenever you get an update on the phone, whenever you get an update on a laptop, do you ignore or do you update your phone?
Update, sir.
What is the reason that you click on update?
Because सर अपडेट करने से न्यू फीचर जो ऐड ऑन हुए हैं वो भी आ जाएंगे.
If you assume you have that syndrome, I have that feature, I don't need to update. Why should I update this phone? Why should I update this software? My phone is updated with everything. If you have that syndrome and if you don't click on update constantly, what's gonna happen?
सर वो सपोर्ट नहीं करेगा नेक्स्ट टाइम पे.
Then what will happen eventually?
ऐप वर्क ही नहीं करेगा, फिर ओपन ही नहीं होगा.
Money नहीं होगा. So if let's say imagine that is just a 50-60,000 rupees phone, but can you imagine if that start happening with your career? If you don't update your skill set, if let's say startup keep telling you ki okay, you are not relevant, you're not relevant enough for the requirements that we have, you're not even relevant. So at that particular time, phone can be updated in seconds, but your career takes a good amount of time to update. So this is not a session where I'll give you all the gyan and ganit. This is social media marketing, this is the advertisement that you need to do, that I've done since last 5,000 sessions. But most important, to set a context before the same, that right now your career needs a good recharge. And why digital recharge? Because this is a very small example that I given to you, IPL. You see across the world, you might have seen, you following let's say Elon Musk. If you're following, let's say his very ambitious startup or company that you can say,
You name any small startup or a big tech company, they are all based on digital platforms. So when I talk about digital platform, I just would like to give you the overview how it works and where you fits into it. And I'll ask you the question, do you have the skill set where you can fit into the entire ecosystem or not? Yes or no? Now I just need a one volunteer out of it. I'll just need a two or three volunteers. I will just run a very important experiment out here that I have never run in any of the batches, and you're practically gonna understand where you basically stand into the market. Should we go ahead for the same? Okay, so I can see only Khushi, I can see Pooja, and I can see Aishwarya. Okay. Now, uh, Khushi, Pooja, and Aishwarya, or maybe I think Ritika has also turned on the video. How many of you want to become a startup entrepreneurs, or maybe someone want to have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur? They want to launch something on their own. Anyone? Just raise a hand. Just raise a hand. Who would like to become an entrepreneur, or maybe Shreya and okay, Aishwarya, Ritika. Okay, great. I would like to ask Aishwarya very interesting question. What is your ideas behind the startup? What do you want to start?
Um, Sir, I want to starting as a businesswoman.
Okay, that's a very great idea. But what idea that you exactly have? What you want to start exactly? Like we have a tech company. Okay,
Sir, I want to start a restaurant as well.
oh my god, that's a very interesting take. Pooja, what you want to start?
Sir, I want to work in MNC. I don't want to become an entrepreneur.
That's great. And the MNC right now, with the kind of the structural update they're having, I think digital is skill is very must. Kushi,
I also want to work in an MNC only.
that's great. That's a very interesting. And Ritika,
Sir, I want to go in management field.
okay, great, great. So now we'll take Ritika's example, and like assume Ritika wants to launch her dream startup. Okay, now let's say it maybe she wants to develop an application like Zomato. She wants to develop the application like Ola. Just a hypothetical example that I'm giving to you. Into the 2021 and beyond, this kind of ideas basically can have a very impactful stuff. How many of you heard about the Clubhouse? How many of you are active on Clubhouse? It's a very interesting new age social media platform that has come up in 2021. Now you understood why you need that digital recharge. Things change in 20, like in social media age, 1 minute is equal to 24/7. So you need to be active and come up with all this thing. Clubhouse just launched, I think, 4 to 6 months back, and right now you can just Google out what is the valuation, and apart from the valuation, what kind of job requirements. Since Khushi Pooja mentioned they want to work into the MNCs, once you actually go out in the market, these are typical digital MNCs that gonna hire you. So you need to understand what would be their future requirements, not the current requirements, what would be their future requirements. So maybe just to give you the hypothetical example, Ritika, let's say Ritika wants to build up some application like Zomato, or maybe let's say Ola. What she can do initially, okay? So obviously she will need to come up with the application or maybe the website. So that is where the digital part comes in, where she's gonna research, right? कि मेरा application कैसा रहेगा, what features that they're gonna add, what is my business idea, and basically she'll convert the business idea into the application. So this is your first digital connection. This is your first digital interaction where everything is happening on one particular application, right? You might have ordered something on Zomato, you might have gone to airport with booking Ola, but this is you're taking from the user's perspective. Now we are trying to understand from the startup's perspective, and that too also the digital part. So when you're developing the application or a website, you need someone who has a good hands-on experience into the creation part. Once the entire creation is done, you basically design the UI UX part. You might have understood this word UI UX where you design. Let's say for very basic example, if you are bought a new house and if you want to get the interior done, you hire interior designer just to basically plan out entire thing कि मेरे को रूम में क्या चाहिए, what I want into one particular house as well, एक particular floor पे क्या रहेगा, you want entire plan to be ready. Exactly on to your application, what kind of features, what kind of things जो रहेगा अपने application के अंदर, you need a dedicated digital professional, maybe the coder or maybe full stack developer which can help you out with the same, or maybe the UI UX designer which can plan out this entire thing. I'm actually telling you what exactly startups are working upon and getting $1 million funding. So first is a full stack developer, which is the most important skill set. Second is a UI UX designer. I'm just giving you the profile name. All you need to do is just go on to the Google once my session gets over and just research on this particular skill set. Why this skill set would be the most important skill set for the next 3 to 5 years. And let me be very honest with you, if you're not learning this type of skill set, I'm not talking about digital marketing. See, digital marketing is a very small subset of the entire digital ecosystem. But if you completely ignore this thing कि I know syndrome, I know कि मेरे को ये particular diploma degree जो है मेरे को job दे देगा. Pre-COVID it was possible, but post-COVID it's very very difficult, and competition gonna get very huge. So second was the UI UX designer, which designs this entire thing. The third and most important part which comes is a product management, and this role is like a Virat Kohli into the Indian cricket team. So right now, if you have this particular skill set of product management, which manages this entire part, how the designing should be there, any startup ideas, how the designing should be there, how the website should be developed, how the application should be, how to coordinate with the digital marketing team. So the product management skill set is very important. If you go to Bangalore, if you have any contacts or relatives who are working in Bangalore, especially into the startup ecosystem, you just ask them why this skill set can fetch you more than 20 lakh rupees per year salary. How much? 20 lakh rupees per, I'm talking about Indian context as a fresher. Not even the MBA, just a pure graduation and with a good relevant experience, maybe 6 months or 1 year. What happens in India? What things are there in Bangalore? Then it comes to metro cities, and then it comes to tier 2, tier 3 cities. It takes a 2 or 3 years. You might be aware about the same. So what right now trending in Bangalore is this type of skills: product management, full stack development, UI UX designing. Then comes, once you have designed this entire thing, you basically market all these things that you created. I don't know whether you're aware about the same or not. All the startups majorly focuses on, they start with only 3 or 4 member team. 3 से 4 मेंबर की टीम स्टार्ट होती है, एंड दे मेनली लुक फॉर दिस 3-4 थिंग: फुल स्टैक डेवलपर, यूआई यूएक्स डिजाइनर जो ये पूरी चीजें डेवलप करेगा, प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट ये चीज को कोऑर्डिनेट करेगा, डिजिटल मार्केटर, वट एवर ऑल द प्रोडक्ट एंड सर्विसेज दैट हैज बीन क्रिएटेड, he will market across a digital platform. And on, when you're marketing on digital platform, you use all type of platforms, whether it's a specific Facebook, specific Twitter, specific on Instagram, specific on LinkedIn, especially on Clubhouse as well, which is trending on Quora. You do SEO, you do social media campaign, you do online lead generation, you do affiliate marketing, you do Google AdWords, you do Google Analytics to analyze all these campaigns as well. You perform all kind of marketing activity just to understand whether my product and services are going perfect or not. And once that is being liked by one particular person, or let's say set of the user, then they go for a funding. They approach the investor. They say कि देखो सर, I have developed this product. I have basically bought a good UI UX. That is the reason basically people are liking my product. I have basically a good digital team which have given us a very good amount of result. Now let's see, if you give us, let's say, $1 million funding or $2 million funding, will basically expand the existing team. So maybe right now I have a one UI UX, I'll be hiring a maybe 5 or 10 UI UX. If I have a one digital marketer, I might hire 20 or 30 digital marketer. I have basically, let's say, one product manager, I might come up with the n number of different programs, and I might need a 20, 30, 50 or 100 product manager. Now you understand, when any startup gets the funding, they look for a similar profile. They don't look for any abstract profile कि चलो यार मेरे पास बहुत पैसा है, हम लोग ऐसे किसी को ही hire कर लेते हैं. They look for the very specific profile. And if your existing skill set match with that profile, only then you get hired for that particular position. Now if you can imagine, you go to any startup, ठीक है? I mean, I'm not just talking about these are some of the skill set. You watch TV, television, whatever startup that you come across, visit their website, visit their career page, visit the startup website, visit their career page. You automatically come to know where you stand exactly into the market. Simple. If you don't want to stand up in the market, you have other positions available, BDM, sales, all the positions are available 24/7. But if you want to do something very amazing, very something new, which is currently in sync with the market, then I think these are some of the skill set which are very essential if you want to enter into the MNC, like Aishwarya and like Kritika has said. This was the job perspective wala stuff. Startup perspective, that already told you. If you have an amazing, brilliant idea, and if you don't have this particular team, just forget about the funding. Not gonna get the funding. बिकॉज ऐसा नहीं है कि एक इन्वेस्टर को एक ही स्टार्टअप अप्रोच कर रहा है. फॉर वन इन्वेस्टर ऑन एन एवरेज दे गेट 200 to 300 प्रपोजल इन अ वीक. So they study, they analyze, and hardly less than 1% people get the funding if you meet up this kind of skill set criteria. Now that comes to the third part. You'll say, sir, I to have a family business which has a tune of 200, 300, 500 crore. I don't need to do anything. Now, for even those businesses pre-COVID-19, people have that I know attitude. Okay, this I know syndrome. Okay, my business is something very special. No one can impact my business. My business is built over the reputation since last many years. But with the COVID-19, you have seen, especially into the B2C criteria or B2C category, whether you go into the tourism segment, whether you go into the beauty segment, the top leading brands have basically closed down their operations. Whether it's a temporary or permanent, you might have seen on the newspaper as well. So those who were ignoring that I don't need a digital recharge for my business because it is existent since last many years, they have proved wrong, and they proved horribly wrong. And right now they are suffering, and right now they are desperately looking to upskill their startup, their workforces, and the entire 360-degree operations. So if you have basically want to become a next generation entrepreneur by joining your family business, maybe sooner or maybe later, I think this kind of skill set, whatever I said and I shared with you, I think this skill set would be very, very essential and very, very important to learn. And but at least you accept it कि I need to learn. This is something very important. I'm not here into 1 hour session जहाँ पे मैं आपको हर एक चीजें screen share करके दिखाऊं. If I would have been given 3 hours, I would have definitely shared. But right now with the limited time frame, I can only clear your entire ये जो दिमाग के ऊपर जो रहती है ना चीजें, I know this thing, I don't need to learn this thing, why should I learn this thing, this kind of syndrome you need to get away with, at least if you are very serious and if you want to prove yourself, okay, this is what I want to do into the next couple of years. If you don't want to do it, then I think it's your call. मतलब तो फिर तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. But if you want to do that, then this kind of skill set would be very much essential for you. And one last thing, I think that there was also one skill set that I forgot to mention is the cyber security. Now, with the, you might have seen all the startups, all the companies are basically focusing on a security aspect, your data aspect. Well, I think whichever application that you download, they ask for your email address, they ask for your contact number, they ask for all these details, right? What they do with the data, where they store their data, whether they are safe from the hackers or not. You might have seen Abhi, just 3 days back, the daughter of Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal lost 34,000 rupees with the online fraud. Now, can you imagine the daughter of Chief Minister of Delhi can be a victim of the cyber fraud? So, how much requirement of the cyber security expert would be into the corporate side? So these are some of the skill set where, let's say, if your entire digital business ecosystem, you want to keep it very safe, keep it very secure, then cyber security is something which is most important skill to learn upon. And and whenever you think about digital skill set, now I want to come into the misconception part. Whenever we think about digital skill set, people say, it would be a very technical skill. I'm pursuing the graduation. It is not my cup of tea. It's a purely technical thing. How I can become master of something purely technical into the same? Then you need to understand all the skills basically are not purely technical, but mostly they are the management skills that you need to master upon. Now, when I say about management skills, whether it's a cyber security, whether it's a full stack development, whether it's a digital marketing, if you basically master upon those skills, I think no one can beat you. These are like your what you can say career protector. These are like career bodyguards. Okay, like Salman Khan has a Shera. These are the Sheras. These are different Sheras for your career. If you have this thing, no one can beat you. I guarantee you, no one can beat you. Just recently, you might have seen Elon Musk, Bitcoin price are going amazing high. Okay, they're touching everyday new high. They come up with the Dogecoin, they're touching a new high. So what is, can you imagine how Elon Musk is transferring the entire world? They're sending the satellite to the Mars. They're coming up with the electric cars. There is a new focus on the environmental impact as well. Now, can you imagine what right now in 2021, how the digital can transform the world in next 10 years? Now, if you ask yourself 10 years back, आप लोग कहाँ पे थे? You didn't have a phone as well. Even that would be with the basic 2G where you used to call an SMS. In just 10 years, you see where we are. We are right now doing a video call. We are basically, or a location basically track. We are getting the orders. Everything is happening on mobile. Now, can you just imagine right now you might be at the age of 2021 after 10 years where you would be married and you would be enjoying the life, unfortunately. You can imagine what would be the transformation into this entire digital ecosystem. I can't even imagine that when electric cars gonna come, what kind of rapid digitalization that gonna happen into this entire, all the businesses and startup. That is the reason na Mukesh Ambani enter into the digital ecosystem by launching the Jio. We know all this thing, we read regularly on the newspaper, but what the syndrome that we have is we are not curious. We are not curious. We don't ask the question. Our question asking abilities has been consistently, इसको हमको है ना हमारे क्वेश्चन हम जो पूछते हैं ना उसको हमारी एबिलिटी को कम कर दिया गया. We don't ask the questions. Once you become a curious, you start asking yourself the question, why Mukesh Ambani might have entered into the Geo? Why Elon Musk is planning for this thing? When you start asking all this question, you will realize what you're lacking and what you need to learn. And all these disturbances basically would be a very small if you basically focus on your main important objectives.
Hey.
I think there is some disturbance. Just check. Okay. Any questions that you have? Any questions that you have?
Sir,
Yes.
how can we develop that skill?
See, developing skills is basically you can develop anytime. But first of all, you need to realize that you need to develop a skill. Most of the people are ignorant. They just don't want to upgrade their skills. They are like, nahi seekhna hai.
So that you are saying that digital marketing is for tactical and like that.
No,
So
nothing like this. Not just about digital marketing. Even if you leave behind digital marketing, if let's say you see your parents, that is the best example that I give. That is a honest truth. Your parents sometimes are very reluctant to accept the change. Most of the times, they are like, if I'm doing the things in certain way, it has to be done in certain way. That is
yes,
also
sir.
the same with our career. What we want, मेरा करियर ऐसे जा रहा है तो मेरे को यही करना है. If let's say मैंने आज सेशन दे दिया, if I give you this ज्ञान for 1 hour, you are like, ठीक है यार सर ने ज्ञान दे दिया, but मेरा फोकस तो यही है. Now at least realizing that I want to do something which is practically relevant, or I need it. I don't, it doesn't matter from where you are learning, whether it's from YouTube, whether from professional institute, or from whichever college that you are learning, doesn't matter. But at least you started taking that first step. That is most important thing. Because what
Yes, sir.
your career choices are normally influenced by not the opportunity available into the market, but the choices given by the parents and choices opted by your friends and families. So most of the time what you do, your friends are doing something, then you copy paste the same. What you do, control C and control V. Your friend is doing this thing, you do control C and you do control V into your career. If your friend is doing this thing, you do control C and control V. Your mom and dad basically might have gone to the kitty parties or some parties. They got to know, अच्छा उन्होंने ये किया है. What you do, control C, and you immediately implement to your kids as well, without even asking themselves ki what actually want to do. Now I think when initially the reason that I asked you what you want to do, what you said, I want to join MNC, I want to become this thing. That is your end goal. It is like when you're playing the cricket, you want to win the match. But it's not just by saying you win a match. You have the particular strategy against the bowler, against the batsman. You play with the strategy. You might have seen India versus England first test match. England won by 227 runs. Now, obviously, England might have thought we want to win the test match, but by saying it, when by exactly working into the team, constant hard work, and adhere to the existing condition of the that particular day, that actually wins you the match. Not
Yes,
just
sir.
saying कि अच्छा मेरे को ये करना है. Getting it? And right
Yes,
now
sir.
you have competition not from your age. Right now, 6-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid is learning the digital skills, whether it's a coding, whether it is a digital marketing. Even 7 or 8-year-old is learning the skill set. You might be
Yes,
very
sir.
amazed to know. I think I got to students into the lockdown where their parents wants to teach their students, okay, the new age digital skills, whether it's a coding. You might have seen the Whitehead Junior. So they are teaching the coding at the school level students. So they are not only teaching the coding, but also the life skills, the digital skills, the artificial intelligence, machine learning. They are developing the application. You might have seen the TVC. So you might have seen कि वो एक बच्चा ने application बनाया है, investor भाग रहे उसके पीछे. What is seen? So can you
Yes, sir.
imagine your competition? It is not from the your age group. It's gonna come from the younger age. The 8 year, 9 year, maybe after 10-15 years, 10 साल का बच्चा बोलेगा कि मैम इससे अच्छा तो मेरे पास स्किल सेट है, हायर मी.
Yes, sir.
Getting it? So that is something that you need to ask yourself and take education seriously. You need to take the education. Most of the people and the family don't take education seriously because they have a very bad experience with the education or a misconception about the education कि education theoretically होता है, education में पढ़ाई नहीं होती है. Education is just a time pass, just to spend the 3 years, make a friends and join the family business. That is something, when we think about education, we have certain concept that comes to your mind. It's boring, we need to make a friends, 14 Feb is coming, we need to make this, that, this thing. All the thought process are attached to the education. But have you thought ki education can become interesting? You can watch the series for non-stop 8 hours, but you can't even attend the 1 hour session, which is very important for your career. Then certain that is something very wrong in this entire education system. So we are not basically doubting this thing, but at least the reason that I'm here, just to make sure the topic for the session, which was digital recharging of your career. This is how you can recharge your career to get an amazing right for your job, business, freelancing, family business, anything. Any questions that you have, you can just put it into the chat window. And if you want to just turn on the video, if you want to ask any question, because the most boring part about the online session is the monotonous session, but the most interesting part that comes is the last 15-20 minutes, because that is like a dialogue, that is like an interaction. So whatever question that you have, either in English, या तो गुजरातीમાં છે, मराठीमध्ये तुम्हाला बोलायचं आहे, हिंदीमध्ये तुमने आपको बोलना है, any language that you want to ask, I'll be able and I'll be comfortable to answer all your questions and doubts. So maybe into the chat window I can see there is one question, sir. Can you tell me skills we must learn for entering the family business? So, as I told you, for entering into the family business, maybe you need to understand whether your family business need any uh, update, or may say na version 2.0, or your business need 3.0 as well, whether it is needed or not. You are still stuck. आपके डैडी का कोई छोटा सा बिजनेस है और आप वहीं पे गल्ले पे जाके बैठने वाले हो और वही चीज़ों को बोलोगे कि मैं डिजिटल मार्केटिंग करूँगा, तो दैट नॉट गोना हेल्प. इफ लेट से विराट कोहली अगर एक छोटे से गली में खेलता क्रिकेट, वो बोलता नहीं यार मैं यहाँ पे 6 मारूंगा, मैं यहीं पे खेलूंगा, नॉट गोना हेल्प. You need to actually understand the nature of the business and launch the version 3.0, 4.0, where you can compete with the international players. If you are basically have that vision, to achieve that vision, what kind of skill set that can help you, whether it's full stack digital marketing, or maybe UI UX or graphic designing, that you'll understand this thing. I hope, Mahipal, I answered your question. And then Jamini ji, I think even my 3-year-old can download application on his iPad by himself. Now you see, that is something where, and not just the application, they even know how to open the YouTube, their favorite YouTube videos as well. And even when I saw what people are learning, the 8-year-old kid, just to give you very interesting analysis, statistics across the world, the highest earner from the YouTube revenue is the 8-year-old guy, not a 28-year-old guy.
I think it's Ryan Kazi you're talking about.
Exactly. So he's
Yeah.
just a 8-year-old. So can you imagine 8-year-old guy, he is earning the maximum revenue from the YouTube. And at what age we become the Indian become YouTuber? At the age of 21, 22, 24, and we need all this high-end gadgets and everything. So now your competition is with these people, 8-year-old, 9-year-old people. So that is something which is
My son happened to follow him.
sorry. Okay, how can I Hari Om has a question, how can I grow to earn something 50,000 up this time? Okay, so I have a very different take on this. Whenever someone puts a monetary figure, so whenever someone asks me I want to earn 50,000, 1 lakh, this is like you are limiting yourself. Your worth is not just limited to 50,000 or a 1 lakh or a 5 lakh, 10 lakh. You are worth more than you are thinking about yourself. Don't think about money. Don't chase the money. Chase the skill set. Whenever you start chasing the skill set, money will automatically gonna come. So never ever thought, you might have been आप लोग को बहुत बार ऐसे उत्सुकता होगी कि अरे नहीं यार, कि आपने YouTube में कहीं देखा वीडियो, you might have seen some articles as well. अच्छा, this 18-year-old guy is millionaire, 22-year-old guy is earning this much amount, 2 lakh rupees a month, 5 lakh rupees a month. Okay? That is an end result. But for achieving the end result, he might be having some skill set through which he's earning something very rapidly. So that you need to master upon. जैसे इंग्लैंड ने इंडिया को फर्स्ट टेस्ट में हराया, that is an outcome, but to achieve this thing, all the 11 players for the last 2 to 3 weeks, they have understood the strength and weakness of the Indian player. They played according to the strategy, and then they won the game. What we Indian do, we basically become the blind followers of that particular millionaire. अच्छा ये पैसे वाला बन गया, you follow them on Instagram, you follow them on Facebook, you like all this post, you want to just cheer them out कि मेरे को पैसा कैसे मिलेगा. There is no shortcut, ठीक है, unless you are corrupt, unless you basically indulge in some other activity. If you want to earn the revenue from the good resources, then you need to master upon the skill set. ये 90s में होता था, जो हम पहले movies में देखते थे ना, ऐसे ऐसा चोरी कर दिया, डाका डाल दिया, ऐसा कर लिया, ऐसे करके people become the multimillionaire. Even today that is happening with the cyber hacking and everything. But if you want to earn it from the legitimate sources, then I think the skill set is the most important thing. If you have the skill set, there is no end to the cap. You might earn 50,000, you might earn 50 lakh as well, you might earn 5 crore as well. There is no cap, because previously the resources were very restricted for the boundaries. Now there is no restriction. I might be hired by the US company as well, at the same time Australian companies as well, at the same time Switzerland companies as well, if my skill set basically give them the value. और मैं ये सोच के बैठू मेरे को तो 50,000 कमाना है, बस मैं तो लोकल में जॉब कर लूंगा, 50,000 मिल गया, आई एम हैप्पी, दैट्स इट. So then though that is gone, you can't just upskill, you're just stuck to somewhere. I hope, Hariom, I answered your question. Any further questions that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Any questions that anyone has, you can ask me right now.
बेटा मुझे अटेंड करने दे, खत्म होने वाले हैं.
Just 2 minutes, it will get over. I'll end up my boring session in just few minutes.
I wanted to ask something, Raj.
Yeah.
So I just like you spoke about the example of Ryan Kazi, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's like probably the youngest guy who's earning the most. I think it's just content that he's actually able to show to the world, right? Like, and on the basis of that, he gets paid for, or I don't know, incentives or whatever. I think it's a real inspiration for young kids and even adults. I think the guy is a real inspiration.
Yeah, I think parents nowadays become very more open to teach their kids. Maybe at they're in the first standard or second standard, they want to prove their kid is the best compared to the rest. For achieving that competition, we are chasing the skill set. Okay, so we want to make them the YouTuber, we want to make them the blogger, we want to teach them the application which can get them the $1 million funding at the very early age. That sounds very interesting, and it is practical nowadays with the kind of the rapid
Digitalization, I think, and everything available at home.
Everything is available if you have the laptop and if you have the right channels to get the knowledge, because more than the channels, we have a distraction. So you first and foremost, most important thing is to identify and avoid the distractions, because if you open YouTube, there are some distractions as well, and there are some value adders as well.
Agreed, Ekdam. That you're right.
And especially our generation, like I'm too older, but the younger generation is basically stick to the distraction part a lot, rather than getting the value out of the social media. So once the session gets over, or maybe during the session, you might be into the WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and everything. So if you have some social media psychology class or something, so we'll in depth we'll discuss how this entire thing works, and what are some of the reason you get hooked to the social media platforms. I've written a very interesting article and a book as well. So maybe you can go through and you'll understand why.
Sure. I think it'd be interesting, because nowadays I think that's become the new chase in every individual, even children everywhere, like YouTube and Instagram and all of that has, I think, just made it very competitive even for kids.
Yeah, exactly. And like I can imagine if 8-year-old guy can become a brand or influencer.
Yeah, Ryan Kazi is a real, like, I don't know. The parents also have some kind of dedication, I think, in this case.
Yeah, exactly. So that needs the motivation of not
Right.
only just the kid but the parents. But Indian parents during the lockdown, they understood and realized, okay, that school education, it's okay, but at the same time, the real time digital skills are equally very important nowadays.
True, true, true. Very true. Very informative your session has been today, I think, for us.
I thought it was very boring. I can see the
No.
this, and I thought ki people are just waiting, just session one.
No, 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 no. I think it was very realistic and very relatable to real life, like to the scenario today because of the COVID scenario, how people have moved to digitalization. So I think it was very relatable.
Okay.
Hi, Raj. Good evening. Dr. Joshi here.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Joshi.
Could you just tell us, like we have an undergrad management course. You have been to our college also for our students, and you took a workshop for them. We do not have any module on digital skilling. But what could be the prospects of, in case if we want to introduce some certification courses for our students, would you be able to connect to us on this matter?
Yeah, definitely would love to connect, and would definitely would love to come up with a very interesting aspect of the digital skill set, and we can come with the short any program that you have in mind. I'll definitely we can come out with the same, because that is a need of the hour.
Yeah, because most of our students have entrepreneurial mindset, and as you said very effectively, that even an entrepreneur also needs to understand, rather than relying upon other person or your own employee for certain skill sets, it's always better that you also hone it up and gather an expertise into the same.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
I think I will look forward if you can just connect with us
Sure,
once
definitely.
again on this.
Sure,
And we would like to float it amongst the students, those of them who wish to pick it up. It will be good for them.
sure done, sure done,
Yeah.
sure done. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions that anyone has? Feel free to put down. There are only 2 minutes left before we wrap it up. Okay, no questions. Okay, so I think it's time to wrap. I think it was a very amazing and very interesting discussions. For this session, I haven't prepared for anything. My last session just got over at 4:15, and then immediately I get connected. So I normally don't present any PPT deck, because I don't. I'm not a fan of the PPT and deck, especially for the online sessions at least, because when you for the online session, real time experiences, and when you speak something which get connected to the students and everyone easily, and what are the takeaways into the entire 1 hour session, if you learn something, even the 1%, and you start implementing the same, that would be my biggest I would be very happiest person if you can just implement even the 1% what knowledge that I shared. With that note, I like to end up the session, but before that, again, big thanks to IMA, big thanks to DCBS student chapter for attending the session and being there at least till the end of the session. That is at least a big achievement, because you're still there, you're listening to it, whichever state you might be in, but at least you're listening. And I think all credit goes to the Weber sir as well, who initiated the entire thing, and we basically are here attending and getting this knowledge. And thanks to the Shreya as well, who initiated this entire process, and every members who have been part of it and organized this amazing session. Thank you so much.
Sir, we have one more question by Mr. Yash Jaiswal, if we could take up.
Okay, what is okay? So he's asking, what is the main challenge in digital marketing? See, it's a very tricky question. What is the main challenge in digital marketing? Now, whether you're asking about the digital marketing skill set, or maybe the digital marketing course, or maybe digital marketing implementation in your business. So, if you can just be very specific, like what exactly the challenges that you're asking for a digital marketing? Yes, Jaiswal. So maybe if let's say he's asking about the implementation, then the right skill set is I think something which is more essential, because I've seen digital marketing industries very closely since last 5 to 7 years when we started the journey in Indore, that most of the companies or the most of the staff know, if they are operating, they have a Facebook account, they'll say they are digital marketer. If they are using Google, they'll say they are digital marketer. So the challenges is basically primarily it is that at least there is a time to update, and post COVID it is essential to update yourself. That's it. This is the biggest challenge. If you at least realize ki, okay, I need to update, your 50% challenges would be done, and 50% will be based on what kind of quality learnings that you're getting out of the digital marketing skill set practically.
I think it's an essential to update is a very valid point.
True that. True that.
So is there any other question if anyone would like to ask? I think there's no. Okay. So thank you, Raj sir. In spite of your busy schedule, you gave us time to address the gathering today. Also, we are looking forward for your continuous mentoring session with us. And it has been great learning and informative for all of us. And we were really intrigued by the new career possibilities and really mesmerized by this digital recharge. And also, I would like to thank all the people for their presence and IMA for organizing this event. So thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you so much. And thank you, Raj sir, for the wonderful session. I hope this will help our students as well. On behalf of IMA, would like to thank Dr. Raj Padhiyar for the wonderful session by sharing their valuable thoughts. And also would like to thank Dr. Rinku Joshi from DCBS and the team DCBS as well. And my sincere thanks to all the participants for motivating us by being a part of this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raj sir, for your time, for coming at IMA platform. Thank you so much. We'll look forward for your session again at IMA soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Rabar.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Keep in touch. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah.